What began last week in Iowa, what voters here in New Hampshire confirmed tonight, is nothing short of the beginning of a political revolution.
Welcome back. That was exactly 4 years ago to the day, if you saw the little date stamp up there, after Bernie Sanders defeated Hillary Clinton by a whopping 22 points in the 2016 New Hampshire primary. There aren't going to be any 22-point wins this year, as this year's primary has become a real toss-up between Sanders, Buttigieg, and perhaps even more in this field. And Senator Bernie Sanders joins me now. Welcome back to Meet the Press, sir.
Good to be with you.
I want to talk about a little bit of Iowa and 16 a little bit. You are a believer that your candidacy is about turning people out. At the end of the day, turnout was disappointing. You have admitted that in Iowa. If we don't see record-breaking turnout here, does this undermine the sort of the biggest point you make on electability, which is nobody else can bring out the young vote but you, and if you can't get other voters, isn't that an issue?
Well, you know what? You're right. The voter turnout in Iowa was not what I wanted. I think other candidates were not able to bring out their voters as well. But at the end of the day, we won the Iowa vote by 6,000. We won the realignment vote by 2,500. And from where I come, by the way, that's a victory. But here's something really important, not talked about a whole lot. The young vote of people under 29 years of age increased by 33% over where it was 4 years ago, and was even higher than Obama's extraordinary victory in 2008. So young people did come out in very big numbers, which I think is a great omen for the 2020 campaign.
Except you can't win voters outside of that very well. I mean, you were in single digits among older voters, and I say this because older voters vote.
The answer is yes and no. The answer is we are having, and we have got to work on this issue, because my record with for senior citizens is a very strong record, and we're going to work on that. I'm the strongest defender you could see in defending Social Security and so forth. But in terms of Democrats, in terms of running against Trump, we do just fine with senior citizens who will vote for me against Trump if they're Democrats.
You have been railing in the different ways other people raise money.
Yes.
If you're the nominee, Michael Bloomberg has said if he's not the nominee, he still wants to spend all his money defeating Donald Trump. Are you going to refuse that help?
Well, look, let's talk about money in politics. Right now, our campaign, as you know, at this moment, has received more campaign contributions from more Americans, averaging $18.50 than any candidate in the history of the American politics. That's extraordinary. We are funded by the working families of America. Teachers are the profession that is contributing most. We had a lot of contributions from Amazon workers and so forth. We have, unlike my opponents, Pete Buttigieg, who was just here, a really nice guy. I like Pete. He has received, I believe, over contributions from over 40 billionaires. Joe Biden, the same.
Can a billionaire not have an issue about income inequality? Can a billionaire not be wanting to see expanded health care? I mean, these are individuals, too.
They are. And Mike Bloomberg has every right in the world to run. He was mayor of New York City. He has a right to defend his record. But I think it speaks to a corrupt political system when billionaires can buy elections. You want to run for president? That's fine. But you should not be able to, spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, by the way, to answer your question, because of the broad base of support that we have from working families, now they may only contribute $25 or $50. We will be able to raise the money we need to defeat Trump, and I believe we are the strongest candidate to defeat Trump.
You don't want this help, or do you think it undermines?
Look, right now,
you think a wealthy? I mean, look, you have PACs helping you. They're not necessarily super PACs, but you have some outside groups that are helping you. Maybe you don't want them to help you right now.
I don't want them, that's right.
But they are. Yeah. And there's people, there's $500,000.
Some of them are nurses.
Some would call it dark money, yeah.
Some of them are nurses, and some of them are immigration activists, and some of them are civil rights activists.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Do you not want their help?
We have a system which is broken.
I understand that.
I'm saying right now, if my opponents say they don't want that third-party help, I'm all for that right now. Let's end it.
But right now, you'll accept the help as long as they're going to get help.
It's legal. What can I do? That people have a right to participate in the political process. But again, getting back to the fundamental issue, the reason we have so much income inequality, the reason we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people, the reason that almost all new income and wealth goes to the top 1% is precisely because of a corrupt political system which allows billionaires to have inordinate influence over the economic and political life of the country.
All right. The other issue that has the Democratic establishment, and
Are they nervous? Do you think they're getting nervous?
They get nervous.
Okay.
And there's one word that gets them nervous. It's the word socialism.
Democratic.
Democratic, I understand the democratic socialism. Do you acknowledge that in an economy that on its surface, and I understand it is not working for everybody, but on its surface looks pretty good to quite a few people. This is a fairly low unemployment rate. Do you acknowledge it's tougher to sell your economic ideas in this perceived good economy?
I don't think so. I mean, I think Trump is a fraud. I think under Trump, the top 1% have seen hundreds of billions of dollars increase in their wealth. Do you know what real inflation accounted for increase in wages last year was for the average worker? It was less than 1%.
But it's the first time it had gone up in a while.
17 cents an hour.
Hadn't been going up for over a decade.
It's been not. But you know, how do you talk about an economy that's working when the people on top are making hundreds of billions of dollars more, and the average worker is making 17 cents? We need an economy that works for working people. Yeah. And my agenda is that agenda. That's raising the minimum wage. That's health care for all. That's making sure that all of our kids, regardless of their income, can get to college or to trade school by imposing a modest tax on Wall Street speculation.
Somebody that likes their 401k right now but doesn't like the character of Donald Trump, how do you convince them to vote for you?
I convince them to vote for us because we are going to create an economy that works for the middle class.
But they think their economy works well for them.
Well, for some of them, it may.
It's been working well. That's
Chuck,
my point.
Look, here is the reality. Half of the American people today are living paycheck to paycheck. Today, you got 500,000 people sleeping out on the streets when you got 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of America. We're the only country in the world, major country in the world, not to guarantee health care to all people. Got 45 million people struggling with student debt. Please don't tell me that this economy is working well for all people. It is working phenomenally well for Trump's billionaire friends, not for working families.
The reason I bring up the S word, democratic socialism, is because let's just take the swing state of Florida. I grew up in Miami, and I know what they're going to do to you. And they're going to tie socialism to Venezuela. They're going to tie comments you made about Evo Morales in Bolivia.
Yeah, what about Evo Morales?
And they're going to say you will appease socialists in Latin America. You have not condemned them the way others have condemned them, and use that to try to get to wedge people. You know that is what they're going to do.
Well, look, we're dealing with a president who is a pathological liar. So what I'm going to do? I mean, he's going to say anything he wants about me,
but
about Joe Biden, about Pete Buttigieg.
You stood behind Evo Morales when it clearly went.
I stood with Evo Morales in condemning a coup. I do not like military coups.
He tried to violate his country's constitution.
There was, well, that's another discussion. I don't know that everybody's interested in Ecuador, but he was overthrown by the military. Not a particularly good president. We got a president of the United States who's cozying up to the autocrat Putin, who says nice things about Kim Jong-un. So you want to talk about cozying up the communists around the world? It ain't me. It is Donald Trump.
Let me ask you a few quotes here from some members of Congress who are concerned about your electability. Here's Amy Barra, Democrat in California. If Bernie Sanders is our nominee, it'll make a lot of these Trump districts that we picked up extremely competitive and probably does put our House majority in jeopardy. Connor Lamb, I don't think I'd be doing my job as a representative to these people in Western Pennsylvania, referring to, if I supported someone who wanted to destroy their livelihood. Specifically, he's talking about fracking. Whether fair or not, this is the concern out there among a lot of elected Democrats.
Look, this is part of the establishment Democrats. And what I am suggesting is that we are going to bring, in 2016, and we'll see what happens in 2020, but I think the story will be the same. In a lot of districts which Trump ended up winning, we won during the primary process. Okay, I think a lot of working people understand that Trump is a fraud, that our campaign is, in fact, prepared to take on the billionaire class when Trump is part of the billionaire class. And I think we're going to win a lot of those districts. I think we're going to increase voter turnout among young people very, very substantially.
Will it hurt your candidacy if these candidates say, I don't support his agenda, but I'm running for re-election?
I think at the end of the day, you're going to see, and I have said this and repeat it right now. I think I can speak for all of the Democratic candidates, and that is we will come together to defeat Donald Trump. I hope I am the nominee. I will come behind somebody else if they are the nominee.
In September of 2019, before your heart incident, you had said the following about your medical records. Take a listen.
I think it's the right thing to do. The American people have a right to know whether the person they're going to be voting for president is healthy. And we will certainly release our medical records before the primaries. It'll certainly be before the first votes are cast.
The first votes have already been cast. You did not release your medical records. You released a few letters. Nobody interviewed your doctors. You did have a heart attack, apparently. Shouldn't voters see your medical records
We have
before Super
released
Tuesday?
as much documentation, I think, as any other candidate.
But no other candidates had a heart attack.
Well, look, no other candidate is doing 4 or 5 events a day running all
I
over
hear you.
this country.
No, you've proven, I mean, there's no doubt, you've proven your mettle here, but voters, you heard voters have been concerned about your age.
You can start releasing medical records, it never ends. We have released a substantive part of all of our medical records. We have doctors who have, cardiologists who are confirming that I am in good health. I am in good health. What
changes did the doctors ask you to make that you've made?
I'm trying to walk a little bit more, but the schedule doesn't allow me. They didn't say, so I'm trying to sleep a little bit better. Sometimes that's hard, but I'm feeling great. Thanks.
My guess is winning will help you sleep a little bit better?
Winning will make me sleep a lot better, and I think we're going to do just that.
All right. Senator Bernie Sanders, the independent Democrat from Vermont. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. Be safe on the trail, sir.
Good. Nice
to see
be with you. Thank you.
Hello from Washington. I'm Chuck Todd, and thanks for checking out the Meet the Press channel on YouTube. Click on the button down here to subscribe and click over here to watch the latest interviews, highlights, and other digital exclusives.